Yuhuru, brothers and sisters. My name is Alex Morley. Welcome to Beyond the Boundaries. Today is September 15th, 2019, Sunday. We're here streaming from Nassau, Bahamas. My name is Alex Morley. On Beyond the Boundaries, we try to bring you news from the African nation and from the international socialist movement. So again, brothers and sisters, Uhuru, my name is Alex Morley. I'm going to get straight into it. Brothers and sisters, the first thing I want to talk about is, hurricane. It's been about 2 weeks since Hurricane Dorian would have hit the Bahamas. It affected New Providence, but it mainly had a impact on the northern region. Those would be islands of Grand Bahama and Abaco. But just let me give a brief report of 2 weeks after the Hurricane Dorian, brothers and sisters, and my the things that I have observed that are on my mind. Brothers and sisters, the official reports are that there are over 1,000 people that are still missing because of this Hurricane Dorian. Persons from Grand Bahama and persons from Abaco, those persons are now being called dislocated. They are being dislocated persons because they have had to leave their homes. Their homes were destroyed, so they've either had to come to the capital uh, or some persons have even left the Bahamas. But that number of persons who are now being dislocated is reported to be in the tens of thousands. Brothers and sisters, in New Providence, where I'm based, shelters have been set up to house to give housing to persons who have been affected by the hurricane and persons coming in from the northern region, places like Grand Bahama and Abaco. This week, I've had an opportunity to visit at least three shelters right here in New Providence, but I'll only speak about two shelters. The first shelter I would speak about would be when I say speak about, just general, my initial assessment. The Calvary Baptist Church, that's one of the shelters. Calvary Baptist Church, that's in Centerville off Collins Avenue. Another shelter is the Salvation Army, that's on Marquis Street. And there are several other shelters, brothers and sisters. There was a list put out in terms of the shelters, but these are the shelters that I want to speak about. Calvary Baptist Church in Centerville off Collins Avenue, and then the Salvation Army on Marquis Street. Calvary Baptist Church, the numbers are somewhat under about 100 persons, and at the Center Salvation Army, around about 30 persons. In terms of the things that these shelter centers need, brothers and sisters, uh, everything. That's basically what persons are saying. Everything. I had an opportunity to speak to the pastor at Calvary Baptist Church. So they basically need everything, even down to snacks for the young kids. Young children like to eat snacks, but water, everything that you could think of. Those are the things that they would need. So I would urge persons to try to assist the relief process as best as they could. But brothers and sisters, poor black people have to save poor black people. Plain and simple. Poor black people have to save poor black people. It's the same thing would happen with African brothers and sisters in the U.S. with Katrina. It's the same thing would happen with brothers and sisters Africans in Haiti, with the disaster that they went through. At the end of the day, capitalism, this system is set up in a way that African people, the working people, they are not going to be respected the value that they had. Because brothers and sisters, let's take for example Abaco, and this is only an example. Abaco is an island. I guess I can call it what it is. It's an island, somewhat of a white power base in this country. The industries on that island, fishing, second home building, tourism, of course, and then yachting, where white people from the Keys just ride right down to Abaco, you know, uh, up and down, no regulation, as least regulated as it could be. All of those industries, brothers and sisters, from fishing to the second home to the yachting, there's a parasitic relationship on that island between those industries and those same people who you now see in those shelters, brothers and sisters. The money, the value that is created in Abaco, those same people that you now see in those shelters are a big part in creating that value, are the major part in creating that value. Those are the people who live right across the places like the mud and the and the pigeon peas. They right across the road from the harbors. They right across the road from the shipping centers. These are the people who built the second homes that the tourists, when they come to Abaco, and even the Bahamians in the capital, when they leave the capital, because the blacks in the capital stressing them out, Africans in the capital stressing them out, and when they want to go chill out on the islands, that's the places they go. You see? And then even so, there's a parasitic relationship between the Africans in Abaco and white power. And this white power is historical white power. This is the same white power that assisted. Because the people in Abaco, brothers and sisters, they would be connected to the American loyalists. People who fled, who were part of the process, the U.S. wanting their own version of self-determination from Britain, and those persons wanting more to be loyal to the crown, fleeing to different parts of the world, loyalists, and one of the places that they ended up was Abaco. And from Abaco, they would have been a base where they would have sent supplies and materials, but they would have established continuously kept on establishing relationships with those same people in New York and East Florida, the places where they would come from. So Abaco played a serious role in the creation of the U.S. nation. Abaco played a serious role in the creation of white power. You see, brothers and sisters? But the people, the Africans, right now in today, the Africans who are responsible for that wealth, a hurricane passes through, a disaster passes through, and all of a sudden, the same people who were the basis of that wealth, they aren't worth anything. So, poor black people, I said it before and I can say it again. Poor black people have to, number one, be in a position where they save themselves, self-determination. We are prepared. We are collectively prepared to do the things that we need to do to survive. But poor black people gotta save poor black people. Brothers and sisters, when I think about the situation that's going on right now, you know what I just think about? Why it couldn't be. I want it to be a day when an African ship, a ship representing the United States of Africa, come across this ocean and help our people. You see, one united fleet vessels representing Africa and African people. Because that's what our problem is. We stretch across the world. We scattered, capitalism scattered across the world, and how our power are disunited, all breaking up. What happening to our people right now? We got to build the African nation, brothers and sisters. That's what happened to African people. African people ain't have a nation around the world to protect them. You see? Poor black people don't have a nation around the world to protect them. We got to build the African nation. That's why we in the party say one Africa, one nation. One Africa, one nation. That's what I think about. So, Uhuru, Rastafari, Hotep, Assalamu alaikum, Salaikum salam, Assalamu alaikum, Salaikum salam, Inshallah, Uhuru, Hotep, Sak Passe, Uhuru, Rastafari, Hotep, Inshallah. We need a united Africa. We need a united African people. So we could come and show power and do the right things and save African people. Poor black people have to save poor black people. Nobody can come to save poor black people. Poor black people have to save themselves. We got to link up with we got to make sure we right, and we got to link up with other poor black people, and we got to build the African working class. We got to build the African nation, brothers and sisters. That's all. And that's why it's important that no matter what, despite this hurricane coming through, before this hurricane, we was on this path for African self-determination. And during this hurricane and after this hurricane, we can't let this hurricane knock us off the path for African collective self-determination. You see, we can't let this hurricane knock us off the path for self-determination, brothers and sisters, and building a new world and building the African nation. It's like I say, one island in our country played a part of building the white nation, one of the biggest white nations that represent white imperialism around the world. Our whole nation, when one takes a look at it, our whole nation, our whole this whole land mass that we call a country, this hurricane exposing that either we as African people got to decide whether we continue to be the 51st or the 52nd, the 51st state, or whether we can build a nation. Because that's what this exposed. But brothers and sisters, African people, we got to unite and we got to build the African nation so we could save African people. We could help African people when we need to help African people. You see? That's what we need to do. That's why my job, our job, is to continue to build the African People's Socialist Party, to rise up the flag of African unity. Right now, we meeting with brothers and sisters, different forces in the African-centered community, trying to make sure that we put our best energies in this relief process. Every organization, all African-centered organizations are doing things in their own, but we're also trying to collectively come together, African unity, to show our best, to see how best that we could help in this release process, brothers and sisters. So that's the first thing that I want to say, brothers and sisters. Second thing I want to talk about, brothers and sisters, Hurricane Dorian has one of the things that it has done. It has caused the town and the country to come together, the city and the islands to come together. Right now in New Providence, brothers and sisters, many persons who they fall under this category as dislocated because of the hurricane, they are in New Providence. New Providence is the capital of the Bahamas. The Bahamas itself is only has some 400,000 persons, but more than 100,000 of those persons live here. So in the capital. So right now we have a lot more persons in the capital, brothers and sisters. This would have been a good time, if the African People's Socialist Party, when we come in power, we can make sure to have a proper public transportation service when we come in power, so that could alleviate some of the stress. If we had a 24-hour public service going on, public transportation service, that we're picking where would you would be able to catch it from the airport straight to your hotel or straight into the communities. Maybe if that was going on, that could alleviate some of the stress. But we don't really direct our resources in the for the development of the natives at this point. We got buses waiting for the tourists. But brothers and sisters, we need to I would say two principles I want to talk about. We have a lot of people from the islands who are in the city. One of the things the people from the islands is always say is that when city people come to the islands, the island people is treat them good. Just ride them around, take them out, take them for a drink, whatever it is that they want to ride them around all day. Food, everything is be great. But people from the islands, they say when they come to Nassau, the Nassau people don't treat them the same way. That when they come to the capital, they have to catch the bus. They got to find their own ride, and they got to worry about food and all kind of different things. What I would say, brothers and sisters, this is a good time for us to remember, we are African people, and this for all people, but we are African people too. And one of the principles that the Europeans would have met us with, would have talked about when they met us, would have commented on, was African people and our hospitality. Our hospitality. And all of the African historians have written about it. How a man, a person from a tribe could leave where he was born and walk miles and miles to another grouping, and he would be accepted. They wouldn't even know him, but they would have to accept him into their home, into their family, and feed him and treat him just like a family member. So, brothers and sisters, we got to remember hospitality. That has always been a part of African people and our principle. And they have always told us the slogan, "It's better in the Bahamas. It's better in the Bahamas." So that we use that African hospitality and use that energy for the tourists. I would now say we need to use that "It's better in the Bahamas" kind of push, and use that for the people who now we have in the island, who are here from the islands. I.e., let's treat our people good while they here. Let's use this energy, all the energy that we give to the tourists, all the energy that we give outwardly. Let's treat our people, whilst the people from the islands are here in the capital, let's treat them good. They're the only ones who still remember to say good morning and good afternoon. So yeah, let's treat our people good and remember who we are. Brothers and sisters, respect to the jet ski operators, man. The third thing I want to talk about is respect to the jet ski operators. That's from Camp Road, Carmichael, Ida Street. You know how that is, deep waters. I ain't even got to talk that. That's clear. But brothers and sisters, the only time you hear about the jet ski operators in the Bahamas is when they are accused of some doing something improper with a tourist, or they are alleged to have had some drugs, some marijuana, or some kind of drugs. They've alleged to be selling that to someone. That's the only time when you hear about the jet ski operators, the jet ski boys, the jet ski operators in this country. But the stone that the builder refused ends up being the cornerstone. The stone that the builder refused ends up being the cornerstone. The same people always only talk about bad, give negative publicity to during this hurricane, brothers and sisters. These were the young men who were out rescuing people. They were on the water. They were some of the first response who was out there on the water, brothers and sisters. And I'm not the only one who's brought this attention, who's brought this to light. The leader of the opposition, I also heard him mention this. But they were the first response, part of the first response, jumping in the water, rescuing people, or doing whatever they got to do to protect people's lives, brothers and sisters. You see? Our jet ski operators, the development supposed to be from jet ski to shipmate to chief mate to engineer to captain. That's supposed to be the development of the jet ski operators. You see? All that energy that comes from the ghetto and working class youths in the ghetto, the energy who we what we demonize only when they killing each other and when they shooting each other. That's when we put them on the front page. But that same energy is the energy that we had to depend on during this hurricane. Capitalism don't believe in young people. If capitalism did believe in young people, we would have had that jet ski that represent our own national Coast Guard service. That's what those young men represent. That's what those jet ski, that's what that represent. A national fleet. That represents power over the water. Us having power over the water. And when one takes into consideration that those are African working class men on those jet skis, you know, their fathers and mothers, they weren't born next to the water. A lot of white people was born next to the water. A lot of white people being some of them may have a pool in the back of their yards, right? And then so they born next to the water, have a pool in the back of their yards. The private schools that they go to have pools, right? Their fathers or mothers may have a boat. Those persons I'm sure they was a part of the process of saving people too. But when the disaster hit, it was those jet ski operators, those same African, them working class African young men from working class communities who had to jump in the water. There's no institutionalized system for them to have power over the water. But white Europeans have power over the water in all kind of ways. So we got to believe in our young people, brothers and sisters. We got to believe in our young people. We got to build a society that understands that the jet ski operators, they got to go from jet ski operator to shipmate, to chief mate, to engineer, to captain. That got to be the historical development. That got to be the development. We got to believe in our people. But big up to the jet ski operators, brothers and sisters, because we only talk about them when we want to demonize them. Brothers and sisters, Cuba. And this story is from telesorenglish.net. Cuba sends humanitarian aid to the Bahamas. The Cuban government sent the first shipment of humanitarian aid to the Bahamas recently. A plane from the national airline Cubana de Aviación took off Wednesday with the cargo, which was, they're calling the cargo a solidarity embrace with the Bahamian people. The official announced that in the next coming days, a Cuban vessel with further supplies and provisions will be sent to the archipelago. The Cuba, historically, Fidel Castro had organized a medical brigade to deal with these times of natural disasters. So the report says the brigade will leave also as soon as possible, as the medical brigade, as soon as coordinations are finalized with the Bahamian government. The Cuban Electrical Union has also offered to assist the Bahamas with the electrical problems that we are having at the moment, because right now we are having problems with keeping the light on. But brothers and sisters, I just wanted to mention that story. Self-determination. We have a lot of people who are in the Bahamas right now. Historically, imperialism comes with help in one hand, bread in one hand, and the gun in one hand. You know, we want people who are interested in really really helping our people. You know, and not in dominating us. So we appreciate all the help that we're getting. But you know, we are on the path for before this hurricane. We were on the path for economic self-determination, collective economic self-determination, just like the people in Cuba. You know, and we want to keep on that path. You know, of self-determination and using all these resources in the best interest of all the people. So we want to keep on that path. So I just thought I'd mention the Cuban people. Brothers and sisters, I would ask you to go on blackagendareport.org, blackagendareport.com. Margaret Kimball, she has a story on Hollywood propaganda on Venezuela. And it's a good story. It's basically speaking about there's a series, a fictitious series about Jack Ryan, this character called Jack Ryan, and in one of the plots he is, I guess, fighting against an armed Venezuela, and she's basically breaking down how she says government propaganda does not work in a vacuum. It is bolstered by the corporate media, and that includes the entertainment industry. She said Americans are lured to think of themselves as being propagandized, but this idea is inconsistent with notions of exceptional goodness and superiority that are constantly evoked in this country. And then she breaks down how Hollywood is using this movie, Jack Ryan, the series, and depicting Venezuela in a bad light. You know, there's a history of demonizing Hugo Chavez in Venezuela and the revolution, and all Venezuela is an oil-rich country, and the people, the majority of people were living in poverty. And the Chavistas, Hugo Chavez, that movement was about saying we need to share these resources. We need to share these resources and bring up the living, the social and cultural and physical well-being of our people with these resources. And they demonized him, brothers and sisters. They demonized him, and they are still continuing to demonize Venezuela. So we'd ask people to look out for that. Go on blackagendareport.com. See how Hollywood is used, and that same the people who produce those movies are linked to the government. And I think that's the point that she's trying to make. You know, the people who produce those movies are basically Zionists, people who are linked with Israel and a Israel that is Zionist Israel. You know, so you know, definitely freedom for Palestine as well. But go on Black Agenda Report and read Margaret Kimball's report on Venezuela, Hollywood propaganda attack on Venezuela. That's the name of the report. And also, brothers and sisters, check out An Axis of Hope, Dignity, and Defiance. That's from Gerald Pereira. An Axis of Hope, Dignity, and Defiance from Gerald Pereira. That's a brother who reached out to me from the Organization for the Victory of the People in Guyana. Organization for the Victory of the People in Guyana. So definitely check out that report. Also on Black Agenda Report, check out Brother Ajuma Baraka's comments. Brother Ajuma Baraka's comments. He had some comments about the International Trade Union Forum, speaking about workers' rights and international workers' rights and black people and workers' rights. So check out that also. That's on blackagendareport.com. In terms of community announcements, brothers and sisters, right now as we speak, the International People Democratic Uhuru Movement is having its conference in St. Louis, Missouri. Real Revolution, Real Science. The conference is being held at Aquaba Hall, the Uhuru House, 4101 West Florissant Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri. That's the International People's Democratic Uhuru Movement, brothers and sisters. The conference is being taken place from September 13, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. So that conference is actually going on right now, brothers and sisters. From the arts and culture world, I got Cassidy versus Arsonal coming up. I got Cassidy 2-1. And in regards to the other thing that happened, you know, those things happen, man. You know, you just mistake, move on. In the dancehall world, there was a super cat, a ninja man in the early 90s that got physical And then Vibes Cartel and Ninja Man, that got physical. I think is a old young lion versus old lion kind of thing. Sometimes things get a bit overhyped. But brothers and sisters, but so it was it was a mistake, and you just move on. But I also agree they only talk about battle rap when they want to demonize battle rap. That's it. That's the only time they talk about battle rap. But 2-1, I got 2-1, 2-1 to 2-1 to Cassidy. Key and Peele, comedic geniuses, comedic geniuses. That's all I gotta say about that. Uh, Errol, boxing brothers and sisters. Errol Spence versus Sean Porter coming up. That's a good fight. Good fight. I got Errol Spence though. I got Errol Spence. From from sports, the Bahamas Football. Another thing from sports, the Bahamas Football Association had a busy week, locally and internationally. And this is from the Nassau Guardian. The team defeated Bonaire 2-1 and across several time zones. They had a great showing at a tournament in Tanshan, China. And that event was held from September 7th to the 11th. The Bahamas finished with a 2-3 win-loss record, ended the tournament with a 4-2 victory over Uruguay. The leading goal scorer was for the team and for the tournament with 8 goals was Leslie Saint Lafleur. Leslie Saint Fleur. So brothers and sisters, that's from the sports world. Uhuru. My name is Alex Morley. I'm going to be here every Sunday at 1 p.m. For Beyond the Boundaries, bringing you news from the African nation and from the international socialist movement, brothers and sisters. Uhuru, Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru to the Nyabingi host, the AEIC. Uhuru, Uhuru, Uhuru to the host of Rastafari. Uhuru, one Africa, one nation. Uhuru.